Gary Whitaker, the weigh-in. I'm here with UFC or Quebec MMA icon, if you will, the referee legend, the officiating legend, Yves Lavigne. Yves, we're here at the press conference for Ringside MMA, where they announced Ringside 10. For you, being here from Quebec, but also having been on the international stage, what does it feel for you when you see promotions that are coming up that are, Quebec-owned and Quebec-operated, and they're moving and they're coming to the Bell Center?
This is, I see that. How can I express my feeling regarding that, man? It's a joy, because if you look in time on, we always have amazing fighter here, not just in MMA. If you go back in time, Hilton family was world champion WBC. Kickboxing in the 80s, we had Jean-Yves Thériault. We had
the Iceman.
The Iceman. We had so much good fighter. Now with the old TKO. Who did we have at that time? The Crow Loiseau, Jonathan Goulet, Patrick Côté, GSP. We had Ivan Mangivar, we had Almonic, Stout. All those names are now in the UFC. So here is the place. And now seeing, Ringside step it up as, a big promotion with the help of the Bell Center. It's just amazing. It's a joy. So we're going to see, in a few months, the new star, the star of tomorrow, and maybe the star that we're going to see in a year or two in the UFC.
Now, I'm going to ask you a tough question, because I think the fighting has progressed, and to your point, the niveau, the level of ability as a fighters have progressed. Some people have argued that, unfortunately, the officiating hasn't necessarily gone with it. And there are some, there are still some very good ones, but there are some that really, I think the Régie has to make some work on. I know I've spoken to the Régie in the past, and they're happy with some of the work that you've done and you've helped them in terms of the officiating. Do you see yourself being more involved in really helping the officiating get to the level where it should be, if you have the ringsides that are coming up and they will be at the Bell Center?
Yeah, at one point, I'm already involved with something, to put back together like a course that is going to be recognized by the ABC, but the angle that I want to play with that, it's of course going to be available for all the Athletic Commission, and it's going to be sponsored by someone from the industry. And with that, because most of the Athletic Commission doesn't have the money, to give that kind of course. So if it doesn't cost nothing and it's a quality course that we can supply to all the Athletic Commission, I think at the end of the day it's going to help a lot of ref, because it is really intimidating.
Yes, intimidating.
To go in front of a camera, having thousands of people screaming at you to do something. And a lot of people, it's not the same as when you watch it on TV, because when you watch a fight on TV, you always look for the entertainment part of the fight. As a ref, you don't look for that. You look for fouls, and you only have a split second. You're not allowed, to strike the pose and go back, rewind, and watch it again. So it's very difficult. It looks easy on TV, but it is not, and you need to be prepared, which with a national course or something like that available for all the Athletic Commission will be something, at least a tool that they will be able to use.
I think one thing that helps the fighters be able to grow as fighters is a expanded and a better amateur circuit as well. Now, this part of the course also incorporated, referees actually learning from the amateur circuit and then working their way up? Or do you think that it could be comprehensive enough that you can actually go through a really good system and be able to work your way up through the undercard of a professional fight?
I think you can see both sides as a good argument, like starting with the amateur part. But amateur, they are not the same. They don't use the same rules.
That's right.
So maybe it's better to start with a promotion as an inspector. The inspector is going to check how the gloves are put in, all the hand wrap, and know all the rules, all, what's surrounding to be a ref. And after that, you choose to be a ref or a judge, and, grow up with the professional aspect of the sport instead of growing up with the amateur aspect of the sport. So for an athlete, I think it is essential to start as an amateur level and growing into, professional. As a referee, I'm not sure yet. I'm not going to have to think about it a little bit more, but I'm not sure yet.
Last question: how open can you be as a referee in terms of whether it's be liking promotions or liking fighters? Is that something, as we're going to get better referees, that they are going to have to actually distance themselves from fighters and from the game, if you will, and only work in an official capacity when it comes to that? Or do you think there is some room to maybe be kind of your own personality when it comes to being an official?
I think there's If you talk about style during the action, yeah, there are room. I'm reffing one way because I'm 6 foot, 190 pounds. John McCarty is going to ref another way because he's bigger, and Herb's going to have his own style. So during the fight, yes, you have your own style. However, what I don't like about it's trying to have your 2 minutes of fame as a referee. At the end of the day, we're only referee, and we're like just one element of the fight, and we're not supposed to be there for the show. We're supposed to be there to look for the rules so that both fighters have an equal chance to win. But we're not that for 2 minutes of fame. Definitely not. So style, distance yourself, yeah. You should not go and eat drinks with fighters. You should not socialize with fighters. You should distance yourself. And you should distance yourself from promotion. Here today I came to see, it's a big step exactly in Quebec, because since TKO, they are the first one who's going to come back here. So they only have, here in Quebec, we're only going to have Ringside here at the Bell Center and the UFC, which is a huge step for Ringside. So that's why I'm here today, to see, to see what they have to say about that card. But yeah, you should be distant yourself from promotion and the fighters.
I do have one follow-up question, which is when you do see referees, because what you're saying, makes sense to me, but then you also see referees kind of dictating the action, where they're like, stand up, fight or whatever. You see someone in someone's guard. I saw the last fight where a fighter was in the other person's guard and he actually stood them up, because there is a wanting or willingness or a desire from a promoter level, I would say, for it to see more stand-up, right, in an MMA fight. What do you think about as a referees that maybe get influence in that in terms of directing how the course of the fight actually goes?
This should not have any effect on us. It should be separate, because us as a ref, we're working for the Athletic Commission and we're working with a set of rules. We are not there for the entertainment part of the show. This is something else, so we should not be influenced by that. However, we have inside of those rules, if they're like checkmate and nothing happened, we have the liberty to bring them back up or separate them if there's not enough action. So maybe to the eyes of the ref at that time, there were not enough action. Look, I think every fight and every situation is different. It has to be isolated and looked upon, and having the ref's kind of point of view of that, because you have to remember what you see on TV is the fight that the promoter wants you to see.
Yes.
As a referee, we only choose one perspective of that fight, and we stick with it. So maybe with the perspective that he had, there were not much going on, and maybe with the other camera angle, you saw a lot more than he did as a ref. So I cannot comment on that particular one, but generally speaking, at least the ref has the latitude, but should not be influenced by the crowd or the promoter to make a decision.
All right. Well, you know what? We spent a good time talking here with Yves Lavigne, and I think you got to see that referees aren't just someone who's mechanical and goes off and does whatever they're told to. It looks like they have a brain of their own. So,
just a small one, but you use it at full capacity.
So, great job in the interview and a great job, obviously, and wish you the best of the rest of your officiating career.
Thank you.